Hi, I'm Simone with PinchAPennyGardener, and today's episode is how to make lemongrass oil with your lemongrass. Let's get started. Okay, so we're inside now getting ready to make our lemongrass. I'm Simone from PinchAPennyGardener, and I'm going to tell you, whenever I start a project, I like to make sure that I have everything that I need. So to make the lemongrass oil today, we have the lemongrass, which we picked earlier. We have a twine right here to cut. After we cut the lemongrass, we're going to keep the leafy part to make the tea. 2 cups. I have a double boil system, which is one saucepan and 1 flat pan. And I have something to pour my lemongrass oil in when it's finished. And I have the most important ingredient, which is the oil. Now, you can use olive oil, sesame seed oil, and vitamin E oil. I like to use a light olive oil because I just like the way that it feels. But you can use any of those oils, and even grapeseed oil you can use as well. Okay, and you have to have something to be able to mash down the lemongrass with. So I'm going to use my marbleized rolling pin. You can also use a meat tenderizer or a mug, something heavy, just like that, you're able to mush it down. So these are the things that you're going to need to make your lemongrass oil today. So to start off, we want to go ahead and cut your lemongrass. You want to keep the stalky part of it, so you're going to go all the way to the stalky part, and we're just going to cut right here. And for you, stalky start is generally the stem. Then we're going to go ahead and take the leafy part and just roll it over, like we did for the drying segment that we showed you earlier. And we're just going to tie this off, and this is going to be ready to go ahead and be dried off for our tea. And that's it. So this is ready to go. Now, with the lemongrass, you want to at least try to get a cup of lemongrass stem in here. So you're going to have to cut it down just like this, just cutting it to get it in. And because this is fresh lemongrass, it's easier to cut. Okay, so let's see. You should have a cup here. If you have a little over, a little under a cup, you'll be good, but this is about a cup. Perfect. All right, so we have the cup of lemongrass. We're going to pour this out because, like I told you before, remember I told you we have to mash it. So I'm going to go ahead and take my rolling pin here, and I'm going to mash it. Why are we mashing it? Because we want it to be opened, so like that when we do start to boil it, because it is going to boil in the oil, that the juices flow. So just mash it a little bit until it's just a little flat. I'm lucky because, again, I'm using fresh lemongrass. If your lemongrass was dried, you just want to just put a little bit more weight to it to mash it up. Okay? I can smell it. I can smell it already. After I've mashed, I can smell the oil itself. Now I'm going to put it right back in the cup. And we're going to get ready to start making the lemongrass process. Okay, so now that the lemongrass is measured off, I want to go ahead and give you the measurement ratios to making the lemongrass. You want to have a cup of lemongrass, a cup of whichever oil you've decided to use, and then a cup of water. Okay. That's what they say out there in research land. But I'm going to tell you, a cup of water does not really work. So I changed it to at least 4 cups because you're creating like a double boiler. So you're going to use your, in my case, I'm lucky I have one of these Pyrex bowls. I've had it forever. One of these Pyrex pans, I'm sorry, pots. I've had them forever. And if anybody knows where you can get more of these, please, when you like and subscribe to my channel, put a note down and telling me where I can get these. Because I had a set of 3 and one of them broke and I'm trying to replace them. So anyway, getting back on track. I have this, and I've also used one of my old frying pans. So what happens is you put the water in here and you put this one in here. And you're causing it to have like a double boiler. That's what you're going to do. Now, if you don't have one of these, of course you can use another bowl, glass bowl, Pyrex. Definitely Pyrex, or one that can withstand heat, because you're going to be boiling while it's inside. The oil will go inside here and it'll be double boiling. So you want to make sure that this glass bowl is heat resistant. So that's why I changed the measurement, because when I did it, I noticed the first time I did it, I used a cup of water. And because it has to sit for an entire hour, so everything was 1, 1, 1. But because it has this for an entire hour, it evaporated. And it evaporated in the middle of my process. And so that's why I changed it. Even though you can add water when you run out of water, but who wants to do that? So I have found when I used it, 4 cups of water, I was able to allow it to go ahead and double boil that way, and I didn't have to worry about anything else. I didn't have to refill it. I didn't put more water in because the water was fine. Okay, so when I get started, I like to start with boiling the water first. So I'm going to go ahead and take my saucepan, and I'm going to pour out 4 cups of water. Now, I have a funny story to tell you. Really funny. Something I didn't know, but I always thought. I always used to use my coffee mug here, regular average coffee mug, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the water in here, a cup of water. But let me tell you what I discovered. That a coffee mug is not 1 cup. A coffee mug is actually 2 cups in measurement. So let me add the additional. See? 2. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this thing. And I'm going to pour the last 2 in. There we go. Okay, now depending on your stove, my stove happens to boil really fast. I have it on this number 6 setting. If yours boils really slow, then you want to turn it up. I like to get it started a little bit, like simmering a little bit, before I actually put the lemongrass in there. So right now, to do the lemongrass, remember we need to have 1 cup of oil to 1 cup of lemongrass, depending on how much you're going to make. I'm actually going to make enough to fill half of this bottle here. But depending on the amount, you want to keep it like a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you're going to do 2 cups of lemongrass, you need to have 2 cups of oil. And again, the oil can be grapeseed oil, vitamin E oil, sesame seed oil, whichever oil you prefer. And of course, I like to use a light olive oil, or you could use a thicker olive oil, but I like to use the light olive oil. So remember, you're going to use a cup of olive oil. Now we put the water in here, so I want to make sure that this is dried off, because it has the same effect. Water and oil, it'll make it combustionous. So you want to make sure that you dry it off before you put the cup of olive oil or whichever oil you use in there. So let's go ahead and measure off 1 cup. Okay. So now we have our pot boiling, well, starting to boil, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour the oil in here. And we're going to go ahead and pour in your lemongrass. Okay, I just want you to notice how it is coated over. Now, this is because it's fresh. The fresh lemongrass, generally because we smashed it and it's fresher and it absorbs faster, it tends to go to the bottom. However, if it was dried, the dried lemongrass generally floats on the top. I don't know why it does that, but that's how it's been every time I've done it. So I just wanted you to alert it. It works either way, but I just want you to alert to yourself in case you do it and you're like, uh-oh, why is mine floating to the top? The dry will float to the top, but the fresh one generally stays in the bottom. So now I'm going to go ahead, it's all set and ready, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the other pan to create the double boiling effect. Okay, so as you can tell, it is semi-boiling now. And as the process starts, your entire house is going to smell of lemongrass. So you're going to have this nice lemony smell going on throughout your whole house. But remember, this has to sit for an entire hour. So you're going to want to watch it and see how it's boiling really heavy. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down a little bit. So like that, it slows down the boil, but you're going to go ahead and let it boil like this for an entire hour. Hey Google, set the timer for 1 hour.
1 hour, starting now.
Okay, so this is what the lemongrass looks like after it's done after the hour. It has cooled off for about 15 minutes, and now we're ready to make our lemongrass oil. It has separated. If you notice, some of them are floating to the top and some of them still at the bottom. That's how you know that it's really done. And it's also pale. The grass itself has become like a pale green. So now, all we're going to do now is go ahead and pour it into our bottle here. I like to have the funnel, and I put the funnel in here. And I drain it. So like that, if any particles of leaves or anything like that comes, it remains in the drainer. All right, I find that it's better if you take out the big pieces of lemongrass before you drain them in. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move this here, get my bowl over here and spoon, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take them out. Let it drain off to the side as much as possible, so I'm not wasting any of the oil itself. And then I'm just going to go ahead and scoop them out. Now, in order for this to happen, you see, you gotta have to have a spoon that has holes in it. So let's just go ahead and take it out. All right, so I've gotten all of the grass out, and I'm going to go ahead and just move this over, and now we're going to be able to just drain it through. Now, some people are probably wondering, why do I have the drainer and not if I have all of the chunks out? Well, what happens is sometimes you have a little bit of fiber still remaining from the lemongrass, so that's why I like to use the drainer first and then go ahead and put it in. So let's go ahead and get started doing this. So you can see I've got everything in there. And we have a little bit of particles still remaining, but they got caught right there. And that's why I like to drain it out. Okay, let's take our funnel out. Got it out, move everything over. And put our cap on. Smells perfect. Okay, so don't forget, when you're making your lemongrass, you want to have a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you're going to make 2 cups of lemongrass, you need to have 2 cups of oil to 2 cups of lemongrass. You also want to make sure you have at least 4 cups of water. And remember what we learned today, that a coffee mug is actually 2 cups, not 1. So we finished our lemongrass just in time for Mother's Day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And this has been Simone from PinchAPennyGardener. Oh, wait, don't forget. Follow us on Instagram.